Hi everybody and welcome to this tutorial where I will show you a trick to reharmonize. This is a super handy trick that you can use when you want to add a little more depth to either existing chord progressions, or maybe if you're writing a song, a chord progression that you've written and you think that might be a little blunt, or you just want to add some more depth and make it a little more interesting. Here is a simple trick which I call the dropping third trick. I'm gonna show you the trick, the concept, first on a really simple chord progression, just a 1, 5, 6, 4 in C, because C is obviously super convenient for, clarifying these things, as it's all white keys. So C, G, A minor, and F. Okay, that's the most common chord progression probably in pop music nowadays. So if you know how to reharm these chords, then you can actually use it on a lot of songs as well, but we'll get to a more difficult key in a second. First, let me show you the concept. Just to be clear, we're in C, right here. We're playing the 1, 5, 6, 4. Now, if we would reharmonize this first C, say we would drop a third in the bass, because that is what I'm referring to as dropping a third. It's the root or the bass note of the chord. Then we would get to, if we stay in key, right? So it's dropping a third in key. Sometimes that means dropping a minor third. Sometimes it means dropping a major third. In fact, it means dropping a minor third when you're on a major chord, right? Because the first third that we run into, so to speak, if we're going down, is a minor third, being the parallel of C, which is a thing to remember right away, because it's kind of a hack, kind of a trick, or an easy way to remember this. Then we get to an A minor 7 chord, as you see, right? Regular A minor, and that is the 7, minor 7. Say we would do the same thing on the next chord that we had, was a G. Now, take close note of this. If we have a G chord and we play not the G but a third lower in the bass, that's the first third that is actually in key, right? So it's again a minor third because we came from a major chord. We now get an E minor chord, right? The third chord that we played was an A minor chord. Now this is interesting, or at least it's different from what we just did, because now we are going from a minor chord, which means dropping a major third. Because look, if we want to stay in key in C and we drop a third, then we get to an F, right? So on that G, sorry, because I skipped pretty quickly from that one, again we end up with a minor third. This is a cool trick to remember also in terms of playing technique, because if you play a major chord and drop that third to its parallel, you can just keep playing that chord and you automatically transform it to a minor 7 chord, because this is now the 7 of the E minor, right? So you just add a little more juice, and actually you change the whole atmosphere of that chord, because now we're playing a minor chord. It's very similar in sound, and at the same time it's very different in sound because it's now minor, actually the opposite of major. Okay, so to that A minor chord, if we drop a third, we would get to an F, and now this results in an F major 7, right? And then the last chord was an F, so now we drop from the F, the bass, again a third. It is a major chord, so it works again the same with this major chord as the two major chords that we saw earlier. Drop a third to a D minor 7. You hear how much more body this adds? So if I play the whole progression, it now sounds like okay. And immediately I'm going to show you another trick, because this might sound a little unresolved, but if we want to resolve it, and this is another reharmonization trick, the 2-5-1 trick, because now when we end on that D minor, that is actually the 2 of C, right? So suppose we do and then we're back on C, and we could drop back to that A minor 7, which is now our new one, our sort of reharmonized C. I know I'm giving you a lot of information. There is just a lot of things you can do, and I just want to show you kind of the concept of how this then works in my mind and in my ears when I hear something like that, applying that theory, and then the ears start coming in as well, right? And then you can sort of hook the theory up to what you hear, what you want to hear. So instead of doing the 2-5-1, 2-5, we could either play a G7, kind of the classical, more classical solution from the 5 to the 1, but you could also play an F over G, which is a G sus chord then. Normally you would go to C to resolve. That's a very resolvent sound, right? But you could also immediately add in that substitute chord that we now had. So the A minor 7. Listen to that. 2, 5, and then nice, right? It's a totally different thing than where we came from originally. That's actually kind of the same chord progression, but now with a little more body. So, okay, concept is clear, right? We're dropping a third from the root of the chord, and depending on if you're on a major chord, then you drop a minor. If you're on a minor chord, then you drop a major. Okay, let's see if we can do this in C sharp then. Yeah, so totally different key. And say we have a chord progression 1, 4, 5. Okay, also very common in jazz, blues, pop, whatever. It's and maybe we can add a little melody. Let's see if I can think of something. So let's say that I sing that. Yes, just something simple, which is using the notes of the key of the scale to show you how much more depth it will add to something like that. So, first chord, C sharp major. So we are dropping a third to make this a minor 7 chord now. This is what happens when I do it only to the first chord. But let's say we do it to another chord, to the second. So that fourth, we had a F sharp chord. We're dropping a third, so that is in key. And now we have a minor 7 chord, right? E minor 7 is actually just an F sharp chord over E flat. Sorry if I just said E is E flat, obviously. Or D sharp. I don't really care about sharps and flats. Right? So then we get to for instance, and then we land very strong on that major chord. So we've made a substitute for the very first one, for the second one. Then we have the third one, the regular 5 to the 1. right? There's an option. There's tons of different options, so I'm just showing you the process, so to speak. That is what happens if we also transform that third chord, a flat, to a minor third lower, so then we get an F minor 7. So then we end up with 3 minor chords instead of 3 major chords. It's a totally different vibe than or right? You could, for instance, use this to add some variation in your accompaniment, so to speak, because you could swap them around whenever you want, actually, right? So say we do it for the first time, for the first round, right? And you have variation. So you could do it on one chord or on all chords. And now I want to take this one step further. Okay guys, so that was it for this lesson. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you find this useful. If you did like the lesson, then please hit the thumbs up, like it, share it, leave a comment. Get over to my website if you want to learn more about this chordal approach to playing piano. I have a whole course plan in my membership area that will teach you from the very, very basics to more advanced stuff. And also these lessons have premium versions over there, which will give you additional handouts, MIDI files, audio only files, chord sheets, and just stuff to make this a little more handy to learn. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.